Finally, President Ruto William, what is your view about your situation and your expectations, demands vis-à-vis this global institution and how to fix the situation in your country and the continent?
Thank you very much, Macron, and thank you for daring to call us to this meeting. I'm told it was "How dare you" conference, but in any case, we are here. Let me just speak to this in two ways. Number one, I have had my sister Kristalina and Bangra, and we have excellent relations with the World Bank and IMF from Kenya. And these people have been incredibly of assistance, and we sincerely appreciate. But I am also aware that both Kristalina and Bangra have a job to do, and they have people they report to, called shareholders. And they don't have the final word. The final word rests with somebody else. And that is why we are almost all of us speaking the same language, because we seem to be on the same corner. There are people who are not sitting here, yet they call the shots. Now, we have a situation, and let me speak from the perspective of Kenya, our continent in Africa, and the global south. We need emergency liquidity. We need debt relief. We need urgently new money, with urgency, with scale. That's our situation. How are we going to get that in the current situation? Listening to Guterres this morning, we get development resources 8 times more expensively than others. We have inadequate resources, and it takes forever to access it. So, how do we, how do we make meaning of this summit that my brother Emmanuel has put together? Our position is that if you want to get debt relief, emergency liquidity, and new money together, let us live here having agreed on one thing, that, like Guterres has said, let's look for 500 billion new money. But if we are going to distribute it the way we did SDR, we will end up with nothing. SDR, we ended up with $33 billion in our continent of 1.2 billion people. Europe, with 450 million people, ended up with 5 times what we got. You heard it this morning, not from me, from the UN Secretary General, that we got 13 times less as Africans as compared to Europeans, because the whole architecture, and by the way, it was fair by the architecture, the current architecture of the financial system. But it is grossly unfair when we are looking at fairness. So, what are we saying? Our position, good people, is we do the following. Let us agree that the money we are supposed to pay for the next 10 years as repayment of debt, let us convert it into a new loan that is 50-year loan with 20-year grace period, so that you don't have a problem with your AAA rating. You can continue to have the AAA rating, but you don't have a problem with your shareholders because you haven't given away any money. You've just changed the structure, and we get both liquidity, we get it urgently, and we can develop our countries. For Kenya, for example, we pay $10 billion every year to service our debts. If I had $10 billion every year for development in Kenya, instead of paying debt, it would make a huge difference. That's all we're asking. We're saying, let's have something that is practical so that we live here, that next year, I don't have to pay $10 billion to pay debt. It will have been rescheduled. I will pay it 20 years from now, and I will have 30 years to pay that money. I will make that money available for roads, for health, for water, for education. It will make a hell lot of difference. We will have done something with this conference. We can discuss governance, we can discuss reform, we can discuss transformation of our multilateral development institutions. That will take time. Kenya pay. We do not want anything for free. You will pay more eventually because you have a bigger economy. We will pay commensurate to our economy. And we want those resources controlled not by IMF and World Bank. Because IMF and World Bank, you have the final say. We don't have no say. We want another organization of equals, where you have as much say because we pay, as much as we do because we also pay. That's the organization we are looking for. And that is why we are saying we need a new financial architecture, where governance, where power is not on the hands of a few people. We can agree on the governance of the institution. We can agree on the sharing of power so that all of us have access to resources that go to making sure, number one, renewable energy. We invest in decarbonization. Number two, adaptation, mitigation, smart agriculture. Number three, restoring our planet, restoring our biodiversity, and making sure our carbon sinks work. This is what we are saying, and we would appreciate a little understanding. We want to be, we are talking the normal. If we continue talking the normal, Emmanuel, we will never solve this problem. Things are not going forward, they are going backwards. Tokenism, installment will not solve this problem. We have a much bigger problem than the installment we are discussing here will solve. You are not hearing us.
I will, if I may, I will answer you in 2 words to conclude. No, but
and let me just finish one more. When Ajay was saying 1 to 5 or 1 to 1, who is 1 and who is 5? Private sector versus who is 1 and who is 5?
$5 private sector mobilization for every dollar of money that comes in.
5 from private.
Surely, Ajay. How do you persuade the private sector to bring their money for public good? Private sector is driven by profit, my friend. I mean, unless you persuade me otherwise.
So we're going to run out of time, but there's a whole conversation to be had about what money goes into adaptation versus what goes into mitigation, which part of it the private sector is ready to go for. If you give us 20 ideas and 5 work, we win. That's the idea. That's why I think Mark and Shriti can make us successful at the bank. And if we become successful on this topic, then maybe we make a little bit of progress towards your point there. So I cannot thank the two of you enough. It's not as though I don't have enough to do, but thank you.
on World Bank, we are blocked today, if we are honest together, because on one side the shareholders say we will refuse the recap if there is no reform, and the reform is complicated. What I suggest is we do need a bold roadmap where we say, let's maximize the leverage, thanks to the good work you will make. For $1 being invested by the World Bank, we get $1 by the private sector. This is the leverage we have to focus on and the target we need to maximize. If we do so, as shareholders, we have to commit to accept the increase and the capital increase.
My target is $5 for one.
this
my
is...
target. I can't tell you today what the time frame will be, but I tell you, if you only get 1 for 1, we fail.
No, but since it's at least today, we have eviction impact. I will be honest. For a lot of shareholders, the main argument is to say, sometimes when we have World Bank, private sector just leave. This is where we start.
Yes, yes.
So nobody told me that I was too shy till now. So what we need, if this is 1 for 5, I'm super happy. At least I'm speaking under the control of the best experts. If this is 1 for 1, it's super. You have my commitment that we will accept the capital increase to double, because today it's 100, I will make clear for everybody for the math. It's 100 billion. It means that if we mobilize it properly, we can get 100 billion addition from private sectors. If we do so, precisely to bridge the gap mentioned this morning by Secretary General, we should double the capital of the World Bank. This is the only way, and by enlarging progressively as well the governance and the participation, to deliver what we have to deliver. So let's focus on, at the same time, maximizing the leverage. I take your point, so if it could be very rapidly 1 for 2, you will facilitate our life. And let's accompany this reform from capital increase. I think it will be a tremendous effort. William, the final word for you.
Just what we are saying is different. Is that what you're saying? You're saying is good, but it's not what you're saying. We are not saying that we continue to have what the taxes France is paying, the taxes Kenya is paying in the current setup. Those are national issues. We need a financial transaction tax at a global level where even countries like Kenya pay. We do not want anything for free. You will pay more eventually because you have a bigger economy. We will pay commensurate to our economy. And we want those resources controlled not by IMF and World Bank. Because IMF and World Bank, you have the final say. We don't have no say. We want another organization of equals, where you have as much say because you pay as much as we do because we also pay. That's the organization we are looking for. And that is why we are saying we need a new financial architecture where governance, where power is not on the hands of a few people. We can agree on the governance of the institution. We can agree on the sharing of power so that all of us have access to resources that go to making sure, number one, renewable energy. We invest in decarbonization. Number two, adaptation, mitigation, smart agriculture. Number three, restoring our planet, restoring our biodiversity, and making sure our carbon sinks work. This is what we are saying, and we would appreciate a little understanding. And we want to be, we are talking the normal. If we continue talking the normal, Emmanuel, we will never solve this problem. Things are not going forward, they are going backwards. Tokenism, installment will not solve this problem. We have a much bigger problem than the installment we are discussing here will solve. You are not hearing us.
I will, if I may, I will answer you in 2 words to conclude. No, but
and let me just finish one more. When Ajay was saying 1 to 5 or 1 to 1, who is 1 and who is 5? Private sector versus who is 1 and who is 5?
$5 private sector mobilization for every dollar of money that comes in.
5 for private.
Surely, Ajay. How do you persuade the private sector to bring their money for public good? Private sector is driven by profit, my friend. I mean, unless you persuade me otherwise.
So we're going to run out of time, but there's a whole conversation to be had about what money goes into adaptation versus what goes into mitigation, which part of it the private sector is ready to go for. If you give us 20 ideas and 5 work, we win. That's the idea. That's why I think Mark and Shriti can make us successful at the bank. And if we become successful on this topic, then maybe we make a little bit of progress towards your point there. So I cannot thank the two of you enough. It's not as though I don't have enough to do, but thank you.
On the World Bank, we are blocked today, if we are honest together, because on one side the shareholders say we will refuse the recap if there is no reform, and the reform is complicated. What I suggest is we do need a bold roadmap where we say let's maximize the leverage, saying the good work you will make. For $1 being invested by the World Bank, we get $1 by the private sector. This is the leverage we have to focus on and the target we need to maximize. If we do so, as shareholders, we have to commit to accept the increase and the capital increase.
My target is $5 for one. This is my target. I can't tell you today what the time frame will be, but I tell you, if you only get 1 for 1, we fail.
No, but since at least today, we have eviction impact. I will be honest. For a lot of shareholders, the main argument is to say, sometimes when we have World Bank, private sector just leave. This is where we start.
Yes.
So nobody told me that I was too shy till now. So what we need, if this is 1 for 5, I'm super happy. At least I'm speaking under the control of the best expert. If this is 1 for 1, it's super. You have my commitment that we will accept the capital increase to double, because today it's 100, I will make clear for everybody for the math, it's 100 billion. It means that if we mobilize it properly, we can get 100 billion addition from private sectors. If we do so, precisely to bridge the gap mentioned this morning by Secretary General, we should double the capital of the World Bank. This is the only way, and by enlarging progressively as well the government and the participation, to deliver what we have to deliver. So let's focus on, at the same time, maximizing the leverage. I take your point, so if it could be very rapidly 1 for 2, you will facilitate our life. And let's accompany this reform from capital increase. I think it will be a tremendous effort. William, the final word for you.
Just what we are saying is different. Is that what you're saying? You're saying is good, but it's not what you're saying. We are not saying that we continue to have what the taxes France is paying, the taxes Kenya is paying in the current setup. Those are national issues. We need a financial transaction tax at a global level. Let us be deliberate about climate financing. Those are the two things I'm going to ask. Let's be deliberate about climate financing. Since we agreed in 2015 on emissions, that we reduce emissions by 45% by 2030 and net zero by 2050. Are we moving anywhere in that direction? No. What has happened? Since Paris 2015, developed countries, they have tried because they have resources. Europe has come down 20%. OECD countries have come down 12%. But what has happened with the rest of the world? Emissions have gone up 37%. Net, we've gone up, the whole globe, we've gone up 17%. And last year, we spent $950 billion on fossil fuels. We only spent $500 billion on renewable energy. It means the journey towards net zero is not going forward, it's going in reverse. So what do we do? Because we have to agree on what to do. Our position is that there is a contest between national interest and global good. And in a contest between national interest and global good, national interest wins. because we are politicians. Macron is a politician. And in politics, your constituency comes first. That is why we have not been able to get the 100 billion promised in Glasgow. Because every politician goes home and says, oh, there's a global problem called climate change. We need to get money from you guys to go and sort out that problem. So the people of their country ask them, how is it our problem? A global issue? Why do we have to raise money to go and sort out that global issue? We run into trouble. So we need a new financing mechanism. We need a new global financial institution. It is not possible, I dare say, to sort out a global problem using national institutions or institutions that are subject to national interest or institutions that are subject to shareholder interests. How do we do it? Let me conclude. How do we do it? This is our proposal. There are already 4 proposals on the table. My good sister here from the IMF and others have said we should explore the possibility of carbon price flow, right? They've said let's make a proposal. $25 for the least developed, $50 per ton on carbon, and 75. Assuming that we even agree, and by the way, we are ready from the global south, we are ready from the continent of Africa to play our part. We do not want to be given free lunch. We want to pay. Everybody should pay. Emitters should pay, consumers should pay, the global south should pay, the global north should pay, everybody should pay. If we go that direction, we should be able to raise, even if we use the $25 per ton of carbon, we should be able to raise 870 billion every year.
We did a lot of work together 2 years ago with this big push for Africa. We issued 650 billion SDRs, and we took the commitment to reallocate 100. One of the points we have to clarify during these 2 days is where we are, and I would be very curious to see from you where exactly we are in terms of commitments and real commitments, not subject to authorization of blah, 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 blah. And how many vehicles and contracts did we negotiate, and with which countries, and how much can we envisage? This first is a critical one. Second, IDA is obviously a critical vehicle. We reinvested a lot. How do you see this one, and how can we do much more? Third, how can we have a better coordination between IMF and World Bank and maximize synergies and demultiply synergies? And my last remark would be about private sector. I mean, the 2 leverage we can have. We have a first leverage with regional banks. Where do we stand? How to maximize it? Because we can multiply by 4 to 5. And the second leverage is with private sector, and I want to insist on that. In 2021, we launched this Alliance for Private Entrepreneurship. We had several very important meetings in Africa, but where do we stand? How can we do much more? Mark will be here at the end of this session to as well mobilize the private sector with you, but this is a critical point. So I will do the math, honestly speaking. We have the structures, we have to reform the structures, we have to much more expose our balance sheet, we have much more expose our public finance, but we have to maximize the leverage, because at the end of the day, Nick and Emma make very good speeches. I mean, we have to reach the targets. And it's not the case today, exactly. I don't want to be longer as this introduction means the floor is yours, and thank you once again to the Gates Foundation for being here.
Guys, I bring you greetings from Kenya, the land of the greatest marathoners, from the youngest continent in the globe. It is wonderful to see you, so many people from around the world, in one of the most historic cities under the magnificent Eiffel Tower. The joy and happiness exuded by all of us here, I wish it could be shared around the world. The people of Kenya, Africa, and many parts of the world live in the reality of the new normal. The climate crisis is getting worse every year, with millions losing their lives and livelihoods to drought, flash floods, heat waves, cyclones, and wildfires. Luckily, the solutions to make a difference are in our hands. And when I see you, I see the future, and I see the solution to the challenges that exist in our globe. We have the necessary technology. We have the necessary finances today, and it is possible for all of us to act together to course correct. What has gone wrong, we have it in our power to get it right. It requires solidarity. It requires fairness. It requires equity. And when I see you, I see that great future of immense possibilities. Africa has the greatest potential for renewable energy, from solar, from wind, from hydro, from geothermal. Kenya is already leading the way with 92% of our grid being green. At this global citizen event, we call for a global financial system that is fit for purpose, one that does not pit the West or the developing against the developed. We want one that is fair, a financial system that is fair, that is transparent, and it is not too much to ask for a fair system. A financial system that does not advantage emitters and disadvantage low-income countries. A financial system that supports a climate-positive growth and a green industrial growth powered by renewable resources to help us all decarbonize. It should also provide Africa and the global south with affordable finance that can help us all attain a goal of low carbon and resilient world and attain the Paris Agreement of net zero by 2050. This is ultimately about our people, about us all, and our health is the human face of climate change. Our next frontier is building climate and pandemic resilient health systems, resilient economic development. Together, we can build a better future for people and planet. I love you guys. Thank you very much. See you in Nairobi in September. We will expect you in Nairobi on the 4th and 6th in September for the Africa Climate Summit, where finally we will have the final discourse on a new financial system and on a green, resilient growth. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana. God bless you.
As I come to the penultimate part of this video, in case if you're watching me for the very first time, kindly just consider hitting on the subscribe button. If you've been watching my videos and you've not subscribed, kindly do consider hitting on the subscribe button. And more so, if you're watching me from a different platform, either Telegram, TikTok, or Facebook, kindly just head on over to YouTube, search for Mohamed Sudi. I'll be the first right person to pop up. If matters socio-economic and political matters are your great areas of concern, kindly do consider hitting on the subscribe button so that each and every time that I upload a new video, it will automatically reflect on your notification panel. And by so doing, you'll simply be supporting my content. Thank you, and may God bless you.